The story begins with our main character, Jin Tae-kyung, struggling to carry a large machine up a flight of stairs. He is introduced as a rank F hunter, and then we see his friend, Song Jin-ho, to whom he's selling this machine. They argue over it, and Tae-kyung gets angry. We are told he is an awakened being and that he is against the law to harm a civilian. He says that he has been fired from the guild. Tae-kyung tells us that he became a hunter because his late father was one, and despite not being talented, he was hard-working, which is how he supported his mother and sister. We are then shown a flashback to 1st January 2015, when portals to another world open all over the world, and monsters come out through those gates. This led to a fight between awakened beings and monsters that ended when the great demon king, Asmodeus, was killed on 1st January 2020. This ended the gruesome Great War. After that, the awakened would hunt monsters, take their loot, and sell them in auction houses. Tae-kyung explains that most hunters were awakened and were ranked according to their powers, and he was soon not needed. They come back from drinking. At night, he explores the machine and finds a manual that says it is the most realistic simulator made on 1st January 2020. A warning was placed that the player will not be able to log out and that if they die in the game, they die in real life. He sits inside the machine and ends up sleeping while worrying about his family and their future. Right then, the machine activates and registers him as part of the world of Murim. We then see Tae-kyung waking up with a different appearance, in bed with a beautiful woman. He appears shocked and cannot communicate with the girl. Just as he starts to panic, a message box appears, and he punches it out of shock. Several message boxes appear, welcoming him and giving him the ability to understand the language of this world. He's confused but soon realizes he is inside a game. This game world has a historical aesthetic. We learn that the woman he wakes up with is called Wolhwa, who claims he is acting strange. Just then, he receives a message that the tutorial quest has begun. His task is to gather information and get used to his surroundings. Completing this will unlock other features for him. He starts questioning Wolhwa and finds out that he is in Taiyuan, the capital of Shanxi province, and is in a brothel called Crimson Flower. Wolhwa is a high-ranking hostess in the brothel. He finds out that he is the youngest son of the Jin family, who is well loved by the people of this province. She tells him that the Jin family is facing issues from the Heng Sword sect, and that Tae-kyung is known as the shame of the family. This completes his task, but he suddenly realizes that he has a life outside the game, so he desperately tries to log out. He fails to do so as he remembers the rule in the manual and shouts in frustration. We are told that 3 days have passed since then, and he is still in the game. So, he decided to do as many quests as possible to log out. On his way to a safe place, he starts Tutorial Part 2. He is given 3 tasks: distribute status points in his character profile, distribute ability points, and get an item from inventory. He increases his strength, stamina, and agility. He notices that this process feels like his awakening. Next, he puts his points in his physical state, and he becomes muscular. He completes the last task by getting a spear. Suddenly, the carriage stops, and he is given the task of fighting the bandits. Next, we see the backstory of Jang Sam, the bandit leader. He is known as Jang Sam of 1,000 strength. The 5 mountains are his territory. The carriage driver and Tae-kyung discuss the situation. Tae-kyung assumes that the carriage driver is a martial artist as he provokes the bandits. However, the driver brags about how powerful Jin Tae-kyung is instead. He mistakes Tae-kyung for his older brother, Jin Mu-kyung, a great martial artist. Seeing this, the bandits make fun of him. Tae-kyung decides to fight and attacks Jang Sam using his QI and kills him. This gives him a level up and 20 points. Then, we are shown a past conversation between Tae-kyung and Jin-ho on how VR slows time. Jin-ho tells him that it just feels like that, but is not real. He says that it will feel like time has slowed down if you pressure yourself to understand more information than possible. They discuss how this higher time difference is attainable if good technology is used, but it is rare. Back in the game, Tae-kyung wonders if this game has an exceptional time difference. He cannot use spear and footwork techniques. However, he is granted access to the cultivation technique that allows the accumulation of QI. He is given tutorial task 4, which is to control his QI. The system accepts him on his behalf despite his protests, and he is transported to an elderly man who recites verses that grant him this ability. The elderly man mentions how regulating the flow of QI helps the mind, QI, and spirit to become refined. Just as he returns to the carriage, he arrives at his family estate. We are shown 10 years of Taekyung's chi and a mysterious, dark energy. He decides to not absorb it and focuses on his quest. He activates his QI sense and can sense people within 30 meters of him. Then he opens the quest menu and is offered a chance to leave Morim if he achieves the realm stage of first rate, level 30, and 500 fame points. Right then, he is stopped by Hyuk Jin, the gatekeeper of the estate. He disrespects Taekyung and mocks him for spending the family money and being such a disgrace. He also accuses Taekyung of stealing from the family. This angers Taekyung, and he punches the gatekeeper. Next, we see a staff member report this incident to the head of the family. When told that Taekyung was able to hold his own, the family head appears to be happy. Next, we see Taekyung observing his fight with the gatekeeper in a dream, and it is shown that he can barely land one hit. He wakes up soon and checks his character profile. He decides that he should learn martial arts to fight better. Just then, the family head comes to see him. His level is above what Taekyung can measure, and while panicking, he calls the family head his father. The family head scolds Taekyung, and as he fears for his life, he notices that the family head is being very gentle with him, and the scolding is for show. Clearly, this is a very strange family. Taekyung decides to act like he has amnesia, and finds out that this lesser family head is his eldest brother, Jin Wi-kyung. He finds that his father is traveling and his mother died 10 years ago. Also, his second eldest brother, Jin Mu-kyung, is studying at the Heaven's Gate Temple. He is escorted to his living quarters and appears to be shocked by something. We see Taekyung exploring his living quarters and finally stumble upon the library. He starts going through martial arts books and finds one he wants to learn. Just as the system is about to accept it, he notices that he can only master a limited amount of martial arts, as he already has to master the 3 techniques mentioned previously. He also finds inappropriate novels in the collection. The scene shifts to the eldest brother and his assistant, Wei Peng. We are told that he is being pushed to get married. He notices that Taekyung is awake and decides to check up on him. They hear sounds from his room and expect him to be with a woman, but are surprised to see him practicing martial arts. Wi-kyung is pleased, and we see that Taekyung has learned the Jin family's foot technique. He is now a novice trainee. We are told that it took him half a day, even with the system helping him, and that it was a complicated technique. The chapter ends with him secretly carrying the erotic novel with him. He sure has his priorities straight. Next, Taekyung asks a servant to arrange a training room for him. Hearing this, Wi-kyung celebrates as he sees his brother becoming better. Wei Peng reminds him how his position with the elders is being affected because of Taekyung. He also reminds him how Taekyung could be executed for his behavior. Wi-kyung decides that this is Taekyung's last chance. They agree that he is acting differently. Wi-kyung suddenly gets an idea and issues an order. Then, we see Wei Peng announcing Taekyung's punishment to him. He is supposed to be locked away in the cave for training for an indefinite period. Hearing this, Taekyung throws a childish tantrum. To calm him down, Wei Peng speaks to him through the spiritual sense and tells him that he is being watched. We find out that his brother did this to prevent him from getting an even worse punishment, and they decide that he will stay in the cave of training for 7 days. He is escorted to the cave as a criminal to keep up the act. Taekyung is treated as a criminal, and Wi-kyung talks to him sternly. However, he tells Taekyung that he has provided him with everything he needs through the spiritual sense. Later, we see Wi-kyung worrying about Taekyung's health, while Wei Peng tries to reassure him. Wi-kyung tells us how stressed he is regarding Taekyung and the secret meetings of the Mount Heng sword sect. Wi-kyung declares that the people of Shangxi must be prepared for anything the Mount Heng sword sect does. Moving on, we see that Taekyung has achieved the Jin family's spear technique, which has increased his stats. He recharges himself by eating a grain pill. After this, he keeps training, but it gets harder for him the more he improves. He notices that instead of his spear technique mastery increasing, his foot technique points were raised. He figures out that combining the foot and spear techniques makes his attack more powerful. After using this, he passes out. We are told by an information box that he has unlocked an achievement called On Body, One Mind. Lastly, we are shown that all 3 techniques have been advanced to 3rd stage of mastery. In the real world, Jinho wakes up and opens the machine to find Taekyung sleeping inside. It is the next afternoon, and Jinho tries to wake Taekyung up. We see Taekyung open his eyes, but the scene shifts to Taekyung waking up in Murim. Taekyung realizes he is a level 13 player and has 3rd realm stage mastery now for all 3 techniques. He also has a ring called Peace of Mind, which allows him to stay calm and focused. He starts training and wonders if he can defeat the gatekeeper, Hyuk Mujin, at his current level. A message box tells him he can summon the illusion of his opponents. He summons Hyuk Mujin and fights him with half his strength. Taekyung easily wins, so he upgrades Hyuk Mujin to his full power. After easily winning again, he challenges himself by giving Hyuk Mujin the Jin family's spear and foot techniques. We are also shown that Mount Heng Sword Sect arrives at the Jin family estate. Back to Taekyung, we see him fight Hyuk Mujin, and he defeats him again. This earns Taekyung 4th realm stage mastery of spear and foot techniques and gives him a level up. Just as he is celebrating, the gates to the cave open and Wee Peng comes to get him. Taekyung is told of Mount Heng's arrival and is asked to go to the Great Hall of Politics. Wee Peng asks him if he attempted to rape the young lady of the Mount Heng Sword Sect. Taekyung continues to deny it, but his reputation precedes him. Clearly, he was not considered a Prince Charming. Wee Peng reminds him that the lesser family head has complete faith in him and that he shouldn't disappoint him. Taekyung is met by vicious glares as he enters the Great Hall. He detects bloodlust and turns to see a level 30 character named Lee Seo-gon, who appears enraged that Taekyung did not recognize him. Lee Seo-gyun questions Taekyung about his whereabouts, and since Taekyung woke up in the Crimson Flower, he has no memory of anything before that. Lee Seo-gyun tells the elders that he was in Radiant Moon, another brothel, and has evidence that supports the claim that Taekyung sexually assaulted the young lady of Mount Heng. Taekyung protests that none of these testimonies are valid, but Seo-gyun asks for a fight. This leads to a match quest as Taekyung is tasked to fight Seo-gyun. Failure to complete the task will result in him getting the title of Sex Maniac. Seo-gyun declares that if he runs away, the Jin family will have to pay the price, which enrages the elders. The system tells him that if he declines, Mount Heng will declare war, and he will be named as an enemy. The lesser family head steps in, and Seo-gyun reveals that his true purpose is for the Jin family to give up influence in Taiyuan. He says has the right to demand this as he is the heir of Mount Heng. As things get out of control, Taekyung agrees to the fight. Next, we see Taekyung and Seo-gyun facing each other for the match. Taekyung is concerned as Seo-gyun is a level 30. Taekyung is also affected by the Cower status effect. The lesser family head encourages him, and the match begins. Seo-gyun provokes Taekyung. In return, Taekyung tells him that he knows that Seo-gyun set him up. The match begins, and Taekyung defends himself well and lands a hit on Seo-gyun, shocking everyone. Now we see Taekyung becoming confident, and the Cower state lifts. Suddenly, we are shown Seo-gyun's past and how hard he trained. We see how he planned to use Taekyung's reputation to get rid of the Jin family. In the present, we see Taekyung beating Seo-gyun to a pulp. Seeing this, Mount Heng steps in to nullify the match. The scene opens with Wee Peng in disbelief as Taekyung has the upper hand in the match. The lesser family head steps in to stop the Hungmen from stopping the match and claims that it is the best day of his life. Taekyung defeats Seo-gyun, but Seo-gyun starts attacking with his QI. Taekyung dodges but gets hit once. After that, he punches Seo-gyun, who collapses. This win makes him level up, and his cultivation technique has risen to 4th mastery along with other rewards. Later, we see the lesser family head proudly present his portrait of the match, and he appears very proud of his brother's win. We are told that Tae-kyung left to train. Just then, the lesser family head receives bad news. Then, we are shown Seo-gyun waking up in his carriage and vowing to kill Tae-kyung. Just then, a mysterious cloaked person attacks Seo-gyun with a needle that poisons him and eventually kills him. The scene shifts to Tae-kyung analyzing his fight and his stats. He noticed that he had more stamina and strength, but Seo-gyun had a more powerful QI. He realizes that he has to raise his QI almost double and wonders how he will accomplish that. He says that he might have to consume the dark, ominous QI. He has been very careful to not let QI deviation happen. Then, he worries about his fame and sees that he is called a sleeping dragon and that his fame points are increasing. Later, the lesser family head calls a meeting with all the elders of the Jin family, and suddenly the senior elder arrives. We are shown how all the elders are arguing, but the senior elder keeps staring at Tae-kyung. The lesser family head tells Tae-kyung through the spiritual sense that this senior elder is their grandfather and the greatest senior in their family. This meeting is an interrogation, and Tae-kyung is being asked if he is the one who killed Seo-gyun. The other elders and lords of the family are hell-bent on making Tae-kyung the scapegoat and sacrificing him to stop Mount Heng from waging war. Some defended Tae-kyung, saying that he won fairly and that Seo-gyun left the estate with no poison in his system. However, one of the lords says that giving up Tae-kyung is the best option. At this, the lesser family head scolds them. He says that Mount Heng will come regardless, and offering one of their own as a sacrifice is traitorous, and that they should prepare for war instead of this. After hearing this speech, the senior elder commends the lesser head and scolds the others on how they should be united rather than divided. He offers the lord's head instead of Tae-kyung, shocking everyone. The lesser family head declines the execution of the lord and forgives them. The rest of the lords and elders appear to be content, making Tae-kyung come to the realization that they planned this outcome. The senior elder starts a chant of support for the lesser family head, and just then they receive a declaration of war from Mount Heng. The system announces the war, and Tae-kyung is labeled as an enemy. The main quest, war, has started. His task is to either defeat Mount Heng or make them surrender. The Jin family sends out requests for aid from their warriors. Tae-kyung, Wee-peng, and the lesser head discuss the senior elder's actions. He is known to be a master manipulator. We find out that news of the poisoning has spread and is damaging their reputation. This caused no backup to arrive, except one. Just then we see Wolhwa arrive at the estate. Then we are shown the leader of Mount Heng vowing to avenge his son and telling his forces to attack. Back at the Jin family estate, we see Tae-kyung appear to be very confused as Wolhwa enters. We find out that she is the branch leader of the lower district sect. She is a level 50 character named Yoon Seo-wol. Negotiations begin between her and the lesser family head. Wolhwa says that allying with the Jin family will be more profitable for her. In exchange for loyalty and keeping the Jin family's secrets, she wants half of Mount Heng's stores and goods. She also wants exclusive control over their red district. They agree to these terms and become allies. Wolhwa playfully teases and flirts with Tae-kyung, who is flustered and confused. Next, we are shown the brutality of war by the mutilated bodies of civilian children. The lesser family head, Wee-kyung, is devastated. The senior elder arrives and talks about the Mount Heng leader, Lee Cheon-baek, and his cruelty. The tension is very high between the two, as the senior elder appears to not be very disturbed by this. He gives Wee-kyung a harsh pep talk, telling him that he is responsible for many lives and there is not much he can do as casualties happen in war. The focus shifts to Tae-kyung as the elder refers to his nickname, the Sleeping Dragon, and his victory against Jangsam. The senior elder and Wee-kyung agree that Tae-kyung should be fighting on the front lines. He is given the task of being the leader of the reconnaissance team. The team consists of 5 people, including Hyuk Moo-jin. Later, we see Wee-kyung and Wee-peng discussing Tae-kyung's departure. We see Wee-kyung receive a pigeon message. It says that one strike, one kill Jo Pil is attacking Jungyang with 40 men. The chapter ends with both realizing that Taekyung is also on his way to Jeongyang. We see Taekyung making his team train for battle. Hyuk Mujin is the first to oppose Taekyung, saying that they shouldn't be wasting time in war. He goes on to insult Taekyung, and this ends with Taekyung disciplining him with 3 slaps that completely knock him out. In another part of Murim, we see innocent civilians being slaughtered mercilessly by a man and his subordinates. They seem eager to bring down the Jin family and are being heavily paid to do this. We hear that a few civilian children have escaped the massacre and are being chased by these men. Back to Taekyung, Hyuk Mujin wakes up and is humbled by Taekyung again. They have taken cover for the night, but the rest want to train more. Just as they go outside, they see 2 children arrive and a new unexpected quest begins. We are introduced to the 2 children who managed to escape the massacre, and we are told that they are the last of the people of Shuojuo. The older sibling has a dream where his parents tell him that the 2 of them have to survive. They escape with their uncle, but the men after them find them. The boy and his sister end up finding Taekyung's hideout. Taekyung knows that these kids bring trouble, so he asks his team to pack up so they can leave. But he is soon assigned an unexpected task. He is to save these children from the warriors of Mount Heng. The men follow the kids, and their leader makes fun of Taekyung's team. The team appears to be nervous, as it is 5 against 10, and even Taekyung considers abandoning everyone. However, Taekyung asks them to defend themselves, and he steps out to fight them all himself. We see that he does this because they are all low-level grunts, and defeating them will give him solo experience points. We see Taekyung wipe the floor with the low-level warriors and marvel at his growth as he solos all of them very easily. He uses Pierce of the Heavens to take out their leader. This makes Taekyung level up and gains many points. The kids' Uncle Gong is alive, and all 3 of them thank Taekyung. Their uncle tells Taekyung how Shozho was attacked by mercenaries before receiving the messenger pigeon regarding the war. Thankfully, due to their district leader, they managed to get women and children out. However, they all were followed and massacred. He mentions that there are 30 more along with Jo Pil. Taekyung becomes overexcited by the promise of EXP points and promises the boy, Seo Cheon, to kill them all. However, after learning that Jo Pil is a peak realm stage and extremely brutal, Taekyung backtracks and prepares for departure. Taekyung is hesitant to give his name to them, but just then, Hayuk. Mujin wakes up and attacks Taekyung again. The chapter ends with Jo Pil finding the dead bodies of his warriors. Next, we see Wee Peng rushing to go find Taekyung after hearing about Jo Pil and his brutality. The scene shifts to Jo Pil. He is very interested in who killed his men in one hit. He is reminded by Mount Heng's men that he is hired by them, but he has not followed their orders to regroup with the main force after the massacre. Hearing this, Jo Pil kills all the messengers of Mount Heng and decides to continue following Taekyung's group. Back to Taekyung, their group finds a cave to rest in. Taekyung and Uncle Gong have a sincere conversation about how Taekyung is nothing like his rumors. The conversation is cut short by Uncle Gong telling Taekyung that he has been poisoned. He has a last wish that Taekyung takes care of the kids. We see Taekyung's group make their way through the snow. Taekyung tries to convince himself that he made the right choice by letting Uncle Gong disappear and not slow the group down. He reminds himself that this is just a game and that he has a real family outside. We are shown a conversation between the team regarding Uncle Gong. None of them want to leave him behind. He reminds them that this is Gong's decision and that they are being followed by a martial master who has peak realm. Back in the present, Taekyung and the little girl, Seo Yul, talk, and her words remind him of his past when his father passed away. He sees himself in Seo Cheon and decides to run back and help his teammate carry Uncle Gong with them. In a dark place, we see a conversation between an old man and a ghost-like figure regarding Jo Pil and Taekyung. As the ghost-like figure disappears after warning the old man, it is revealed that the old man is the senior elder. Taekyung's group stops to rest and Gong's condition worsens. As they pack up to leave, they are faced with wolves and Taekyung prepares to attack, but they run away. Taekyung smugly thinks it's because of him. Suddenly, Taekyung gets an unavoidable quest: face Jo Pil and survive. Jopil comes out from the trees and claims to only want to have a conversation with Taekyung. He tells Taekyung that he has caught his interest and promises that he will let him go if Taekyung answers a few of his questions. We see Jopil being amused by Taekyung's story up until now and wonders how Taekyung reached this stage without a master. Jopil tells him he will keep his promise and let him go and says that he wants to observe him more. As they all start to leave, Jopil reminds Taekyung that only he is allowed to leave, not anyone else. After hearing that he should leave the others behind as payment, Taekyung gets ready to fight. Jopil proves to be extremely powerful as Taekyung gets thrown around. He acknowledges that he has never met anyone like Jopil. Jopil sees that Taekyung is scared, so he attacks his team and kills one member. Seeing this, Taekyung becomes enraged and eats a grain pill to boost his abilities. Taekyung attacks Jopil, but he easily dodges them. But Jopil acknowledges that Taekyung is quite advanced for his age. Taekyung barely manages to tear his clothes and laments how he couldn't end him right away. Hearing this enrages Jopil and he activates Frenzy, which makes him more powerful. Taekyung warns his team not to join the fight as it will take away his victorious title effect. Taekyung struggles to defend himself as his teammates join the fight. We see that Jopil is extremely powerful as he breaks their weapons with his hands and simultaneously lands a hit on Taekyung. He keeps relentlessly attacking Taekyung, who is barely keeping up at this point. Jopil manages to draw Taekyung's blood from 3 different places. Despite his wounds, Taekyung still stands, and Jopil commends his effort, but also hits him with a 5th mastery, Divine Palm of Fire. Taekyung can barely stand now, but still tries one last time to hit him with his QI. However, he goes into QI deviation as the Palm of Divine Fire restricts QI flow. As Jopil is about to land the killing blow, Taekyung remembers that this is a game, and just then, his teammates come back. As Jopil gets distracted, Taekyung shouts that he has been fighting like an idiot the whole time, and pulls out his dagger. Then, we see Taekyung slit Jopil's shin and stab him multiple times in his leg. He gets his left arm broken, but manages to wound Jopil. Jopil attacks him with all his power, but we see that Taekyung manages to outsmart him by stabbing him with a sword. He explains that he has been waiting for Jopil to gather his QI to the highest. This is QI deviation. Jopil weakens and goes into denial about being outsmarted by Taekyung. Suddenly, Jopil starts glowing as he starts to burn his life force out for one last chance to kill Taekyung. Taekyung knows he has no usual weapons, so he embraces the ominous QI. We are shown a flashback from Taekyung's real-world training and how explosive this one-time technique was. His trainer told him it could save his life, and Taekyung named it Might. Back to the fight. We see him using Piercing with All My Might on Jopil. As we hold our breaths, we see their collision results in an explosion, and Taekyung defeats Jopil. Now, we go see another flashback from Taekyung's hunting days. His team finds many magic gems that are rare for F-rank raids. Taekyung starts imagining how much money he can make from these and more gems if they go further. The leader is suspicious of their luck, but Taekyung wants to raid more gems for his family. The whole group pressures the leader into saying yes. Their greed gets them killed and only Taekyung survives the raid. After seeing his leader die, Taekyung wakes up in the game and sees Wee Peng sitting in front of him.
Hey viewers, subscribe for more.